Everybody, this is Rousseau's disciple, David, and today we are starting on a journey. We are playing Dark Clockroaches for the Omens of the Past expansion, and the plan is to play it up to Master. We'll see if I am good enough at this game to do that. But this is sort of the de facto best deck on the ladder, or at least the best synergy on the ladder is between Crown of Possibilities and Clockroaches and Dark Return, along with the Revenge cards, Tock Tick and Piercing Grief, which are very good at stalling the game or pushing to end the game very quickly once you have assembled the engine. And it just looks like there is not a ton of video content out there with this deck, and so I am interested in contributing to that. So we're gonna play this, and we're gonna see how well we can do. So let's talk about the deck a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, the deck is sort of focused around Clockroaches, which is a 3-mana 2/2 with Echo. And summon each Clockroach in your hand and deck, gets +1/+1. Echo, of course, is when you draw this, get an additional copy, and add it to your hand. And so when you play your Clockroaches and it gives your other Clockroaches +1/+1, you can draw those Clockroaches, and they'll be 3/3s, and you'll spawn an Echo copy, and you can play one of those, and it'll become a 4/4. If you can finish draw another Clockroach, they'll be 4/4s, and you'll clone them. That'll be great. Crown of Possibilities interacts really positively with this series of events because it gives your Clockroaches random skills. There are currently 18 skills that you can get with Crown of Possibilities. I won't list them all, but some of the best ones are Destiny, Revenge, and Killer. Killer because it turns them all into removal. Destiny and Revenge because it will let you draw them again, or will let you draw additional cards, find more Clockroaches, and so on. Lifesteal is also very, very good because it can give you a life cushion against the aggro decks. The rest of the deck is kind of focused around enabling this interaction. So we have Dark Return, 4 Dark Returns, to just draw the Clockroaches out of the void and keep the combo going. Make them bigger and bigger over time. Get more crown triggers. It's great. Initiative Sands, just to get things going very quickly. This is the only card in the game which can enable a turn 2 Crown of Possibilities, which is extremely strong. 3 Seek Power and 2 Find the Way. I have found this to be the better split for trying to fix my mana with spells, for trying to fix my my influence requirements with spells. Seek Power just being cheaper and factionless. We'll want to play the additional copy of that, but Find the Way with its Echo ends up being really valuable, just because you can get multiple lands off of a single card, or multiple power sources off of a single card. Tock Tick is another Clockroach that comes with Revenge, but doesn't have the tech that echoes, and it doesn't make your other Clockroaches bigger. It mostly just benefits from when you play Clockroach. But it's very strong just to be able to play this in the early game, block, Revenge, maybe play a Crown, then when you draw Revenge. Revenge, of course, gives it Destiny when it shovels it into your deck, so you can draw it with your Crown, give it an additional ability, put it into play, draw an additional card. And it's also very, very good at the end of the game because it's just a 1-mana Clockroach. You might well be able to play, a 1-mana 10/10 or what have you. Piercing Grief turned out to be what this deck kind of needed to go from a silly combo deck before Omens of the Past to a really strong tier deck post Omens of the Past. This card lets you gain some life early in the game, and it also just has 3 really strong abilities to interact with your crown of possibilities. So you can get additional strong abilities with this card off of your Crown of Possibilities. It also gives you more Destiny cards, so you can keep looting through your deck. You can keep ripping through your deck and finding more Clockroaches. Because of course, when you draw a Destiny card, you get to just play it for free and draw another Destiny card. So it doesn't really take up a card slot, but it will add to your board later on. Second Sight is one of the most powerful interactions with the Clockroaches, in that it will let you draw 2 cards and then put a Clockroach that you have already drawn on top of your deck so that you can echo it again. If you have a Crown of Possibilities, they'll get more keywords and they'll retain their keywords when you put them on top of your deck. So it's just a really powerful interaction with Crown of Possibilities in general and Clockroaches in particular. Static Bolt just has the ability to remove creatures from the board, even very large ones later in the game, with its Fate ability. Fate is whenever you draw it, it has this effect. So Static Bolt, when you draw it, it'll be 2 mana, deal 2 damage. And then if you draw a second Static Bolt, it'll be 2 mana, deal 3. The third one's deal 4, and so on. But it also interacts pretty well with Second Sight. Temple Scribe, just an early blocker. You play it, draw a card, block some early aggression, and it just sort of helps smooth everything out. Twinning Ritual is just another way to generate more Clockroaches. It gives Clockroaches in your, it'll generate a Clockroach in your hand, give it +1/+1, and then it will echo again. It also notably draws the copy, so it will give you a Crown trigger, a Crown of Possibilities trigger. So that's really strong. We have 4 Ancient Lures. I wanted some card draw, and I found that I wanted my card draw to be in Time and not in Primal, and so I'm using Ancient Lure instead of what's the Primal card? I'm using Ancient Lore instead of Wisdom of the Elders, this card. Even though it is not fast speed, I want to make sure that I can play it when I want to, and so I can prioritize having time sources, time influence. Nesting Avisaur is the last sort of piece of the puzzle. As a 4-mana 3/3 flyer, it's really nice to have flyers to be able to block the Huru Flyers deck and other problematic flying creatures or flying units. But it has Summon. You may put a card from your hand on top of your deck and reduce its cost by 2. So what happens with this is, if you put a Clockroaches on top of your deck, it will reduce its cost by 2, and so it'll be a 1-mana Clockroach, and then you'll draw it, and the Echo will still be a 1-mana Clockroach. It will retain the cost reduction as you put it on top of your deck and redraw it again and again and again. Of course, it also puts things back on top of your deck so you can get Crown of Possibilities triggers. It lets you put Static Bolts on top of your deck in case you need to do additional damage with Static Bolt. And it can also give you strong tempo turns where you can spend all of your mana on units and then Static Bolt one of their minions. So that's really powerful. Just the one Decay, I found that one of the ways this deck can lose is if you get a Zindal's Gift. If your opponent plays in a Zindal's Gift, which makes you discard your hand every turn. So I wanted at least one way to be able to kill enemy attachments. It can also just be really good against relic weapons or weapons that are played on minions. As for the power breakdown, it's pretty simple. Just playing all 12 seats, 2 Elysian Banners, and 12 Sigils. 12 Sigils make sure that I have enough for my seats and lets me make sure that I can draw them with my seat powers and find the ways. And we have 6 Time Sigils that, like I said, I really want to prioritize time. 5 Primal Sigils because we do have a lot of Primal cards we want to cast. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I can probably go down 1 Primal Sigil and up 1 Time Sigil. I really, really do want to prioritize Time Sigils, and I'll be able to find primal sources when I need them. And just the singleton Shadow Sigil, in case I am on all Elysian Banners and Seats of Wisdom, and I want to play a Dark Return, I can find the way for a Shadow Sigil and do that. Okay, well, with that deck tech, let's go ahead and jump into a game on the ranked ladder. I'm starting out at Silver 3, which is not as low as it gets, but it's pretty low. So you guys can journey with me as I make my way up to Diamond or maybe even Master with this Clockroaches deck. That is the plan. Okay, we're playing against Babbling Book. I see we have another Hearthstone player. So this hand has all of our influence requirements, but it does not have any of the cards that we're really looking for, except for this Tock Tick. So I think we're going to redraw it because we don't have a way to play the Tock Tick. We don't have Shadow influence. This hand is much better. I can play a Temple Scribe and draw a card. I have a Static Bolt to interact with my opponent. My opponent started with Lumen Shepherd Fate, which probably means they're on some kind of Elysian tokens deck, maybe even Shimmer Pack. Elysian, of course, being Time Primal. That's the colloquial term for that. I think it's more important to hamper my opponent's mana development than to develop my Temple Scribe. I can afford to take some damage here from this 1/1. I don't really care about it. I'll be able to play Clockroaches or Temple Scribe. It's fine. Okay, we've drawn a Seed of Mystery, which is nice because it gives us a Shadow source for our Dark Return or Tock Tick when that comes up. I'm going to start by just playing a Clockroach and getting the Clockroaches going. I want to start buffing up my Clockroach and my Tock Ticks, things like that. Static Bolting my Clockroach, sure. This really is totally fine. I can even Dark Return that Clockroach pretty soon. But instead, I'm just going to play Nesting Avisaur and put this Clockroach on top of my deck, because making it cost 1 mana and echoing it is going to be extremely powerful. As I was talking about in the deck tech, this is a really, really strong interaction. And this turn, I don't think I actually need to play any of those 1-mana Clockroaches. I can just Dark Return this Clockroach and play another 3-mana Clockroach. Because I'm not really afraid of what my opponent's doing. I'm gonna get over this Nesting Avisaur because I don't need a block with it. Yeah. We have a great start. This is a good way to start off the video set here. I don't know how many games I'm going to play in each of these videos. We'll find out together. I want to play a Temple Scribe. I want to see if I can find anything else that interacts with these Clockroaches before I start playing them, putting them onto the board. I did not, so I'm just going to play one of these Seats and one of these Clockroaches and the Tock Tick. This way I can get in for quite a bit of damage, and I'm also starting to make my opponent feel the pressure. I have 14 damage that I can safely attack with. Champion of Wisdom is really powerful. Kind of turns off my Nesting Avisaurs. I want to play the 3-mana Clockroach just because I want to keep adding to the board. But I'm going to hold this Clockroach in my hand because I want to be able to put it back on top of my deck with a second sight or another Nesting Avisaur. Yep. It's usually correct to hold 1 Clockroach in hand until you're ready to kill your opponent or you have some reason not to. You need to not die or what have you. So my opponent appears to be on some kind of, Fate, Echo, Nesting Avisaur type of deck, but they're just in Elysian. They're not playing the Shadow Splashes, which is why they can play this Champion of Wisdom. I'm just going to get in with my guys. I'm fine if he wants to double block my 5/5. It's not a problem. I'm more than willing to trade for this Champion of Wisdom. And I have 6 attackers to my opponent's 3 blockers. I guess the 1/1 doesn't really do anything. So I kind of have 5 attackers to my opponent's 3 blockers, and all of those attackers are lethal. So it's somewhat difficult for my opponent to get out of this. Okay, Polymorph, my 5/5 Clockroach, sure. And they're attacking? What is this? I'm not blocking. Attack with all? Lightning Strike for 0, sure. Still dead. Okay, we won the game. Pretty strong showing. My opponent's deck wasn't really in the top tier of the meta, but it was fine. Got my free Omens of the Past pack here. Kind of nice. Head in again. Eternal has a lot of really, really interesting things that they're doing. I think Direwolf Digital is really making a strong use of their digital-only medium. And I really like the way that they've chosen to take advantage of it. This hand is medium. I can't play Temple Scribe, but I do have a turn 3 Crown of Possibilities, and that's worth a lot. I'm still not certain whether turn 3 Crown of Possibilities is like a good enough reason to keep a hand, but for the time being, that's what I'm playing. My opponent greeted us, so we'll greet them. Hello. Second Sight is fast speed, so I don't need to decide whether I want to play it right now. I don't think I want to play it until I have something in my hand that I intend to redraw. I still haven't drawn another power source, which is mildly unfortunate. Stormwings, sure. But again, I have this Crown of Possibilities, which is likely to take me places. I will play Second Sight if I need to hit a power drop. Seat of Wisdom. Okay. I'll just play Temple Scribe. Ooh, our Piercing Grief gained double damage off of our Crown of Possibilities, which is really strong. It means that our opponent is going to have a really, really tough time rushing us down. Because we'll just be able to gain 6 twice. And remember, Revenge shuffles it in, but it shuffles this card in, and the way that Eternal works is that the game remembers what keywords and stat buffs have been added to cards. So this will retain double damage when it gets shuffled into our deck with Destiny. So it'll have Lifesteal, Revenge, Charge, double damage, and Destiny when it's in our deck. And then when we draw it again, it will still have double damage, and it'll gain another trigger off of our Crown of Possibilities. Really, really strong. I think we're just going to seek power for a sigil. We're going to get a Time Sigil. It doesn't really matter at this point. We have all of our influence requirements covered, but we're going to get a Time Sigil. Play our Time Sigil and pass the turn. I can still afford not to play the Second Sight because we drew Piercing Grief and got such a powerful ability on it. I can just take hits for a while. I don't usually start getting worried about my life total until it's 15 or so. 15, maybe a little below. False Prince is really large. Oh look, we drew a Piercing Grief immediately. So I think we want to play Ancient Lore this turn, and then we might draw a Sigil, so the Seat of Mystery comes into play, not depleted. We didn't, but we can seek power for a Sigil. We'll get a time, or Primal Sigil this time. Play our Seat of Mystery, attack with our Piercing Grief. And I could Dark Return Piercing Grief this turn just to use my Dark Return, but I don't really want to do that because it's going to die at the end of the turn. Well, I guess we couldn't have done that because he had to block with it. But I can Dark Return it next turn, and it will still have double damage, Deadly, and Destiny, and it will gain another battle skill off of our Crown. And you can see how Crown of Possibilities is just really, really powerful. My opponent has not played any attachments. I'm going to go ahead and Dark Return Piercing Grief. Just to keep gaining a lot of life. It gained Echo, which is one of the best things it can possibly gain. It generates an additional copy, and the copy also has Destiny, which draws us 2 additional cards. So I want to play a Primal Sigil, and I think I'm going to play Second Sight, because I might draw another Piercing Grief. Another Crown, and I did in fact draw another Piercing Grief. I think I'm just going to put a Sigil on top of my deck, and I'm going to play another Crown before attacking with my Piercing Griefs. Unfortunately, Piercing Grief has permanently lost Revenge. That's how Revenge works. So it maintains Destiny, but it does not re-trigger Revenge when it goes to the graveyard. But I do still get to gain 16 life here. And my opponent has to block with their Dawnwalker. They kind of want to block with their Dawnwalker because it reanimates itself, but Dawnwalker is another sweet card. I'll let you guys read that. This is the cornerstone of a lot of Xenan decks. Time Shadow decks. My opponent just let my units through, and we won the game. Well played. They should have blocked one of my Piercing Griefs. So you can see how important Piercing Grief can be. Like I said, it has 3 really powerful keywords that you would normally get off of Crown. So it's kind of looking for other strong keywords. And because it has Revenge, it interacts very well with Crown of Possibilities. We haven't seen kind of the bad side of this deck yet. Sometimes you have a lot of card draw in your deck, so sometimes you do just flood out. You kind of run out of gas. And that's usually how this deck loses. I have a Clockroaches and a Twinning Ritual and three power sources, so I think this hand is fine. My Seats come to play not depleted, which is nice. I'll probably just Twinning Ritual Clockroach on turn 2. If I don't have anything else I want to do. Yeah, Twinning Ritual is better than Second Sight here because it will let me Second Sight a larger Clockroach. My turn 3 is just going to be to play a Clockroach, one of the small Clockroaches. You want to play the little Clockroaches early, especially against things like 3/2s. My plan for next turn is to just play Time Sigil, Nesting Avisaur. Xenan, particularly Xenan Life Force, does have the ability to outpace your Clockroaches, but my opponent has not had the most insane start, and I'm going to turn off the repeated Life Force trigger, by blocking with my Clockroach. They might have a Dark Return, but I think I can live with a Dark Return. They do not have Dark Return, so this Nesting Avisaur should be quite good. And now I can now I can probably outpace anything they can do with their life force triggers. Because I'll have 1 mana Clockroaches. This Twinning Ritual can make 1 mana Clockroaches. Vampire Bat's cute. Look at this cutie. Don't you just want to feed him a cookie? He's adorable. I don't think I'm blocking your Fencing Master with my Flyer. My Flyer is going to block your Vampire Bat at some point. So I think what I want to do this turn is Twinning Ritual, Clockroach, Second Sight, put a Clockroach on top of my deck. So the first thing I'm going to do is Twinning Ritual, a Clockroach. And I want to play a 5/5 Clockroach here instead of a 4/4 Clockroach because he might be able to gain 2 life before attacking with his Disciplined Dominator next turn. So I want to have a 5/5 that challenges that. I can play the Second Sight at fast speed, so I don't need to play it right now, and I want this Nesting Avisaur on defense so that it can block this Vampire Bat. I'm fairly certain we're ahead in this game. We have multiple 1-mana Clockroaches, and we still have like Dark Return we can play. Bloodcall Invoker is one of the pillars of the Life Force deck. It makes tokens equal to the life you've gained at the end of each turn. We do 2 Seek Powers. Fun fact, drawing cards from your deck in Eternal leaves all the other cards in position. Even if I had played one of those Seek Powers before I drew this Clockroach, I would still draw that Clockroach next turn. But in any case, I'm just gonna play some Clockroaches here. I think I'm willing to trade my 5/5 for his Bloodcall Invoker. So if he wants to double block, that's fine. Otherwise, I just want to start getting in for damage, trying to pressure his life total a little bit. And you can see next turn we can just go ham with roaches. We can play like an 8/8, a 9/9, and an 11/11 if we want. I'll probably Dark Return this 1-mana 5/5. It'll become 2 1-mana 6/6s, and then I can buff them with the expensive Clockroach. It just works out pretty well for me. Like, I think just stats is going to be enough to win this game. And there it is. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up this introductory video. I will be back with more Dark Roach gameplay for Omens of the Past and Eternal in general. Thanks for watching. I hope you come back for more. If you have any other decks you'd like to see or any other games you'd like me to play, you can feel free to suggest those in the comments. I will see you guys soon.